Resident Evil Death Island is as goofy and over the top as any prior entry in the animated movie series, but it also feels like a love letter to long-standing game fans. Not only does it finally bring back fan favourite Jill Valentine and put all the main cast together on screen for the first time, but the villain's backstory and plot feed in thematically to the character arcs our heroes travel along through multiple games. This review will be spoiler-free, though it will mention game events that are referenced in the film, but please be aware of that if you want to go into the film completely fresh or haven't played the Resident Evil games. Also, before we go any further, it's worth mentioning that this video is coming out in the midst of the SAG-AFTRA strike. Whilst Death Island was produced before the strike, the action does affect the promotion of the film, as all interviews and promos with actors mention that they were recorded or occurred before the strike began. Being supportive of the action, and as a long-standing trade unionist not wanting to cross a picket line, I checked the SAG-AFTRA guidelines before making this video. FAQs published in Variety confirm that film reviews are okay, as film critics are not on strike even if they're members of the union. I won't be engaged in any promotion of the film, not that I'm an influencer or likely to be invited to red carpet events anyway, and the only content I have planned on Death Island besides spoiler-free and full spoiler reviews is more in relation to the video games and their lore than the film itself. With that out of the way, let's get into it. The plot here centres around three separate investigations coming together on Alcatraz Island. Leon is trying to rescue kidnapped robotics engineer Dr. Antonio Taylor. Chris and Jill are leading a B.S.A.A. investigation into zombie outbreaks in San Francisco. And Claire is trying to discover what is killing orcas in a national marine sanctuary. With help from Rebecca, the four ultimately team up to uncover the scheme connecting it all and take on the villain of the piece. As you might expect, the spectacle of the action scenes is suitably over the top, filled with leaps and flourishes that keep your eyes glued to the screen. In between, the investigation that leads from fight to fight is fairly rote, serviceable in getting us from point A to point B. Though the overall way in which this virus is being spread this time is unique, allowing for some additional peril for our heroes at various points, as well as feeding well into the villain's motivations. These motivations stem from the Raccoon City incident, which the film opens with, and the way that he feels about what happened there and the state of the world contrast nicely with our hero's ongoing fight for justice, adding another layer to the character motivations of Chris in particular. Chris's journey, particularly through Resident Evil 5, 6 and Village, has been marked by casualties and the question of whether the fight is still worth it despite that, and where it will end. Death Island, taking place after 6 but before 7 and Village, gives further weight to those questions. We do also see a continuation of Leon's arc wherein he grows ever more cynical, continually insisting to himself that he'll finally take a break from it all, and Claire's attempts to remain optimistic in the face of the seemingly endless bioterrorism cycle. But most compelling is Jill, dealing with the events that happened in RE5 by diving deep into her work now that she's back. Her reckless disregard for herself will be familiar to anyone who saw Chris spiral in RE6, but not following quite the same path as he did here. It's also great to finally see her back, and as essentially the main character of this ensemble, as well as to finally see her interacting with Leon on screen. The voice cast here are great, with Nicole Tompkins as Jill and Matthew Mercer as Leon the standouts and given the most time to shine. Stephanie Panisello as Claire is unfortunately sidelined to a degree once again. She gets some action scenes, certainly an improvement on how she was handled in Infinite Darkness, but ultimately sits alongside Rebecca as backup for the big three. This isn't a reflection on the performance, of course, but does leave something to be desired with the writing. Thankfully, the film at least recognises that Jill was always able to hold her own alongside Leon and Chris, and the action sequences reflect that. The animation is also top-notch throughout, with in particular character close-ups and some of the intricate detail looking fantastic. There are moments where the presentation slips back into the uncanny valley, though thankfully these are few and often easily glossed over by the over-the-top nature of the action set pieces. Overall, Resident Evil Death Island elevates what might otherwise be a fairly formulaic story with its connection to the lore of past games, the arcs of its heroes, and a fairly complex villain rooted in both. It gives suitable weight to returning hero Jill Valentine. It's fan service, but fan service done well, and what flaws it has are easily papered over by the spectacle and the fact that it knows when not to take itself too seriously. The big question for the fans of the series is what this entry means, if anything, for the games. Let me know what you think. Have you seen Death Island yet? What did you think of it? Will this film have any bearing on what might be coming in Resident Evil 9? Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and consider subscribing to keep up to date with all my content. Like the video that just popped up, which YouTube thinks you should watch next. This is a Patreon and member supported channel, so if you want to become a member and unlock custom badges and emojis, early access to my videos, and your name in the credits, then click the join button below. Thanks very much for watching, and see you next time.